Nice to have with us. Don Lorden is here representing Ballymantle GA and Peter Devine here from the Rockies. And we're delighted to have Blackrock with us here today as well. Gabriel Doherty is going to be giving an oration here today from the School of History at UCC, and we really look forward to what he is going to say to us today. And to begin proceedings, we have Untahan Tomas as well. I'd like to welcome Councillor Seamus McGrath, who's joined us as well from Carrigaline. So, seeing as the weather is with us, we'll move on while the shower holds off, and we'll begin proceedings with Untahar Omaraku lead us in prayer.
I have it, yeah.
Nana min ergens en vækst for mig var men. Og for det as jeg er ronig, but there's no me on more show that don't look at the bara, let den orden crown. Maar the cred don't look at the bara, a Christ, agus we shall clapton creditive grilla avash. Agus ni hoan son, ach vi en fish kene, ag donna for the bara, so vi ag winter idea mark na caska. Padraig Mac Pirish agus lecher na caska. Agus the ridder son, a son ere ni hoan seir, ach wel a choma. Shin the has to go her go mech. A dame dochish, a lot, cóg céim leis an míle sa tír seo. Agus tá sé sin na buinteach go fáil a gcuing. So, inis, tuairimid faoin chorán buide, agus dá nó, bhí ainm an ghairn ag donna go do balla, ag chiallaigh go raibh grá mór aige don ghairn. Agus is sarúnach an rud go mbeadh an chorán an ghairn, denúir an chorán an ghairn na cóma. So, when I hear him wheelie, could me to say service. Guinea go Neil, Ragret, Veda go right, she will move on now when Tahir will get on Marshall Payne to me sweet. Or now here at hard now, Gunafia Danum, Godaga the Rio, when enter the Hoiler and Dal of Maranita or Nav. On lay hold toward doing a new, August Mark going RV. Maar wij meen dat we hoe zijn, als na leiding gahu, als zeer zien on. Amen. Share wij with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner hoor of an awe, als the spanner told the Brinius. Share wij with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner turned the Renius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner turned the Renius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner turned the Renius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner turned the Renius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner turned the Renius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner over the Brinius. Share the vow with it on the grass, the tantierne let, the spanner over the Vanna, agus the spanner over the Brinius. Sé a bheit uire talán de rásta, tá tíirna leat, is spanna óad a bhaná, agus is spanna he tarú do brunna íasa. Glóra den áhir agus an bhach agus an spudlaíomh. Dúgadí súla sií de anam bónacha agus de anamacha na léachra go léir ó fór bás ar san síirse agus teanga na héireann. In anam an áhir agus an bhic agus an spudlaíomh. Amen.
Good town of Monaco was a great supporter of the commemoration here every year. I now call on Shannon Ford to read the proclamation. Shannon is from the locality, but is a fantastic historian, and we're very lucky to have someone of her generation so interested in history. So I'd like you to give your attention to the proclamation from Shannon Ford.
Poblacht na hÉireann, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland, and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and hereby claims, the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves its cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDiarmid, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Ciant, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
Good Shannon, there were bold words from a bold generation which achieved so much at a time when empires ruled the world. We'll move on now to the County Mayor, Councillor Frank O'Flynn, who's going to speak to us. Frank was first elected to Cork County Council in 1999. and has been a supporter of this commemoration. He has been here in the past, so it's not his first time visiting us, and we look forward to Frank speaking to us here now. So, all of us and a round of applause, to the county mayor. Thanks for being with us.
Cahill, Walter O'Connor, Public Buckler Agway, done at the Borough commemoration. I'm absolutely delighted as Cork County Mayor to be here this Sunday morning. Thanks be to God, the rain is not coming. I prayed all day yesterday and all day today, as I think normally up to now, where the mayor goes, the sun shines mostly, but it also stays dry, so we hope it'll stay dry today. And as Cork County Mayor, I'm delighted to be asked. It's not my first occasion here. I was here on about 3 previous occasions, and I was also here on the previous occasion with my colleague in Cork County Council, Councillor Kevin O'Keefe, gave the ovation. And he's from the Glamour Club, the Harbour Rovers Club, and Mark, you'll hear all about it next Sunday at 2 o'clock, county final. The last time we won the county final was in 21 years ago when we won the Cork County Junior B. So we look forward. That's Shinskele. I want to welcome especially also here, the chairman of the organising committee, colleague of mine for many years, and a colleague of mine in Cork County Council, Councillor Alan Coleman. And I want to compliment the commemoration and the organising committee, because these things often they slip away. And when there is success, there's never any plaudits. But by God, if some small crowds have went wrong, they'll always get criticised. So I'm grateful to people like Alan and his hard-working committee who keep these commemorations going day in, day out. And it is important that we would remember them. I also want to welcome Master Morgu, who decided to take the Rosie Australia, Councillor Seamus McGrath, colleague of mine in Cork County Council, and also our leader in the chamber, been of our leader in the chamber. And it's great to work with Seamus. He gives us divine inspiration, and we always seem to do the right thing, and I think we're doing a good job. It's great to see my colleague here, Seamus, today. I also want to welcome former councillor in Cork County Council who sat with me in the chamber and the old chamber in Cork County Hall, Councillor Barry Cogan, and still going strong. I also want to welcome lecturer Gabriel Doherty, who's a lecturer in history in UCC, and who was a tremendous help to me when I was chairman of the organising committee for the decade of centenaries in Cork County Council. He was there day and night for us, and he was a tremendous help for us. And I want to thank Gabriel more sincerely. I also want to welcome my good friend here, Mark Sheehan, chairman of the Cork County Board, doing a tremendous job. Under his guidance and leadership, the Cork County Board has gone from strength to strength. And also, we'll remember is, I think we're one of the finest pitches, definitely in Ireland. Recently, it was voted the best pitch overall in Europe. And every now and then, and it's seldom we hear people, but now famed Paddy Ryan and the Cockman, who writes for the J, the word he uses about Páirc Uí Chaoimh Mark is pristine condition. And we're delighted to have such a field, and under your guidance, you brought that along. I also want to welcome former chairman of Cork County Board, a good friend of mine, that is Frank Murphy, former secretary of Cork County Board for many years. Frank Murphy, he gave the oration here in 2010. He also gave the oration in 2014 for me in the General Liam Lynch in Kilcrumper, a great friend of mine. And no doubt, he was the driving force in bringing the boss back to Páirc Uí Chaoimh next year. That is Bruce Springsteen. Thank you for that. You always, and we look forward to seeing the boss, Frank. You're getting the credit for it, no doubt. You worked hard. We might make it a 2-day event. I also want to welcome the chairman here and the officers at Don Norton of the Ballymartle GA Club, Peter Devine and officers from the Blackrock Hurling Club, and Miles Barry, the chairman, and Kevin O'Donovan, vice chairman, and officers here from the Carry Down GA division. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and members of the Barry family, and there's quite a lot of them here today. I'm delighted to meet you, and it's great to see so many young and old, and it's great to see you on this annual commemoration. There's also friends from my own area. Remember there was the White family from Ballymadoc and Ireland, the outside in the car. 101 was that premium number. It's great to see him. She came here many, many years ago, but she's still in good health. We are gathered here today to commemorate the life of a remarkable man, Denis Barry. We are here to unveil a new lectern in his honour. A lectern that will carry the story of Denis Barry for many years to come, ensuring that future generations learn of his heroism and unwavering commitment to the cause of Irish independence. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the Barry family, my fellow elected members of the Cork County Council, and everyone present here today. We come to pay tribute to a man whose life was marked by extraordinary dedicated service to his community and to his country. Denis Barry was born July 15, 1885 in Cullen, Riverstick. His early years were spent in Ballymartle, where he showed a remarkable aptitude for the Irish language. His talents extended to the hurling field, where he helped his team to secure 4 county titles in a row with Blackrock: 1910, 1911, 1912, and 1913. And he also played on the Cork team that faced the Tipperary in the 1912 All-Ireland. It was the biggest crowd ever at an All-Ireland final at the time, something like 20,000. Quite a feat when you consider that during the wartime, the troubled time, the First World War, just before it, when we had no transport, no cars, no bicycles, 20,000 was what he doubled to a match. A tremendous feat. And he won a Munster medal also in 1912. In 1914, Denis Barry joined the Irish Volunteers, marking the beginning of a remarkable political journey. In the span of a mere 38 years, Denis lived what could be described as a multiple lifetimes. His story, marked by dedication, resilience, and unwavering commitment, is a testament to the indomitable spirit of Irish nationalism. His impact, felt even a century later, underscores the depth of his sacrifices and the lasting freedom we enjoy today. Denis Barry's life was a tapestry of heroic acts, and this brief overview merely captures the highlights of a truly life lived by many, many lives. Fortunately, his legacy lives on. And in 1966, a monument was unveiled in Riverstick, and a bridge here on my right in his honour was named the Donegal Bridge. And the one thing about bridges, I always say, that I was honoured to name the bridge of the Kid Bridge. A bridge connects one side to the other. And you're going from the past into the future. And I think you couldn't get a more befitting tribute to Donegal than the local bridge called after, which will be there for time and to come. And will bring many, many people to Cork and other places. And no doubt there's a connectivity that we all enjoy. In 1990, a new memorial replaced the original marker in Riverstick, unveiled by the former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern, and in 2009, richly deserved, the Department of Defence posthumously awarded Commandant Denis Barry his medals for his contribution to Irish independence. I would like to acknowledge and thank Cork County Council for their generous grant for this lecture. And no doubt Alan Coleman kept after us to make sure that I would propose it and we get it through, and I'm grateful that we did, and we'll always look after commemorations like this and monuments. That's what the Commemorations Committee is about, and we couldn't have the working member on it than Alan. I would also like to thank especially the Barry family, the Bureau of Military History, Ballymartle GA Club, Blackrock GA Club, and before I go away from Blackrock, my neighbour, Conor O'Brien, in many, many matches for Blackrock. He came from Kilkenny to Denmark. He trained us to win the 2001 county, and he played many, many fine matches in fullback in the Blackrock colours. Belgooney Agri Construction, Council Alan Coleman, your organising chairman, Cork City Archives, Cork County Council, Conor Nelligan, our heritage officer. He's here today in my right. And no one has done more for the heritage and the history of Cork County, and especially in the decade of centenary, than Conor Nelligan. He's worked day and night, and he's attended each and every one commemoration. And during the 2016, of the 1916 commemoration in 2016, I say he attended each and every single one of them. And he was a tremendous help and support to me at the committee. And we're lucky that we have someone like Conor Nelligan, and Conor deserves a bowl of us. Kinsale Cultural and Heritage Society, Barry Morgan, Pat Herlihy, J.J. Hurley, Brona Murphy, Ferdinand Brown, Terry Conley, Sean Scully, the Irish Examiner, the Southern Star, the Irish Times, for their support in commemorating this remarkable man and ensuring his legacy is remembered for many years to come. And one thing we're doing here today, we're ensuring that the name of Denis Barry will live on for generations to come. Denis Barry's life serves as an enduring reminder of the sacrifices made by individuals in the struggle for Irish independence. We also remember here today Hoffman George Cork City, Andrew Sullivan Mallow, who died as a result of hunger strike in 1923 in the aftermath of the Civil War. And as we gather here today, a century later, his impact on our lives cannot be overstated. His dedication, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the cause of freedom serves as an aspiration and inspiration to us all. We owe a great deal of debt to Denis Barry and his comrades for the freedom and independence that we enjoy today in this great country. This new election will ensure that Denis Barry's story continues to inspire generations to come, a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring spirit of Irish nationalism.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for that contribution. And I'd like to re-echo what he said about the support to Cork County Council and Conor Nelligan in the financial support that they gave towards the information board here to the Kinsale Cultural and Historical Society. And we're going to move on now with just to put a more human face to the whole thing, and we're going to have a poem that was written a few days after Denis Barry's demise in Newbridge. And I'm going to let the man himself explain the poem, because there is, interestingly, a connection to this commemoration as well, and to Barry Cogan, who has been involved in the commemorations here since the first one was held back in 1966. So I'll ask John Desmond from Bandon to come forward, and I'll let him fill you in on the background of this poem. And John?
Accordingly, this autograph book was compiled by some of the most gallant freedom fighters who fought in the war for independence and who were captured and interned in Newbridge concentration camp by the Irish Free State Army during the Civil War in the 1923-1924 era. This poem was written by Eamon de Barra 5 days after the death of Denis Barry, R.I.P. To the memory of Denis Barry, IRA, who gave his life for Ireland on Tuesday, November the 20th, 1923, on the 32nd day of his hunger strike. He nobly trod the path the great McSwiney trod. He gave up all he had to give, placing his trust in the mercy of his God. His life he gave that Ireland's cause would live. In life, with steadfast purpose of an honest heart, he served his country that he loved so well, and now he's dead, but not from us apart. For with us still will his brave spirit dwell. And the memory of the agony of that long, long fast will inspire us in the work yet to be done, and to Ireland's scroll of martyrs and heroes of the past, we add the name of Denis Barry, her soldier and martyr son, written by Eamon de Barra, Droghedno, 25th of November 1923.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Thank you, indeed. Thanks very much, John. And I'd just like to that the man that wrote that in Newbridge Camp 5 days after Billy Barry's death was none other than Eamon Cogan, who was Barry Cogan's uncle. So the circle closes really, in fairness. And I'd like to take the opportunity as well to thank John for all the work he's done over the last 25 years throughout South and West Cork. There were old little monuments and stones and memorials that were falling into disrepair, and he's done a huge amount of work quietly in the background. And I, on behalf of the committee here and everyone, acknowledge and thank you for all the work that you did, and say going back over many, many, many years. Thank you, John. And we move on to the unveiling of this information board here, which the Kinsale Cultural and Historical Society put together and got the funding from Cork County Council. We're going to ask the members of Denis Barry's family to come up here and cut the tape on it. Thankfully, I'm not going to be able to name you all. There's so many of you here, which is great to see, because while Billy Barry was a national figure and important nationally, and he's certainly important here in this parish locally, he's still an uncle, a granduncle, and a great granduncle of some of the people here, and it's very personal for the family, and they are really the central part of this commemoration that we're having here today. And it's great that we have so many members of the Barry family here with us. So I'd ask all of the Barry family members to come up here with us and to actually open the tape and do the formal unveiling of the information board. So you might come forward there, please. As I say, too many to name you all on your own, but very good.
That's great. Now, three, so we'll go ahead. So, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much for that, and it's great to see so many members of the Barry family with us here today. We'll move on, and the oration today is being given to us by a renowned historian from the School of History in UCC, Gabriel Doherty. His reputation precedes him, and he's been at many more auspicious occasions than this, so we are very delighted that he is coming to join us and speak to us today. So a big welcome for Gabriel Doherty. Thank you, our oration.
Thank you. Perfect. Reverend Father, elected representatives, members of the Barry family, members of the GAA community, ladies and gentlemen. My sincere thanks to the organising committee for having bestowed the signal honour of inviting me to deliver this address, which I promise will last no more than about 10 minutes. This important event, which I think can lay claim to be the last major commemoration of the decade of centenaries in County Cork. You have performed a great service to the memory of a patriot, a great service to this locality, to the rebel county and to Ireland as a whole, in ensuring that the occasion has not passed without being marked. And for that, you deserve great credit. I wish in particular to thank JJ Hurley for being my point of contact with the committee. JJ first contacted me about this weekend's event back on the 1st of June, and I have to confess my initial response was to wonder whether in fact I was the right person for the job. I know that JJ himself is incredibly knowledgeable on the subject, as was apparent by all reports from his talk last night, which regrettably I couldn't attend as I had another speaking engagement in Cork City. And of course I think most of us here, I suspect, have read and appreciated the excellent biography written by Denis Parry's nephew and namesake. And for those who haven't, I recommend it without hesitation. And I thought he might wish to speak. But JJ indicated that the committee were content for the invitation to stand. So to repeat, it is a huge honour for me. And if I do make a mess of it, blame JJ. At the outset, I wish to indicate what I will and will not be talking about. I will not summarise the major events of Denis Barry's life, for the simple reason, as I have mentioned, that this has already been done, and done better by those better placed than I to perform the task. And neither will I go into any great detail about how, after that well-lived life was prematurely ended, his remains were afforded sordid treatment by the relevant authorities of state and church in his day. Though I will not be ignoring the subject either, and will say a few words towards the end of my full address. No, what I prefer to do is to discuss the meaning of Denis Barry's life. Why did he live the life that he did? What were the principles that provided the motive force that led him along the path of his life's journey? My task, therefore, is not to chronicle, but interpret that life. And the first thing that strikes me in this respect is the sheer industry, the incredible energy manifested by him at all stages of that life. As his biography shows, the list of organisations and causes with which he was involved was impressively long. In other words, and if I may be pardoned a truly awful pun, Denis Barry was certainly no hurler on the ditch. He was an activist par excellence. The more obvious question, therefore, is why? Why did he throw himself so wholeheartedly into life? I think the answer must surely be that he understood that society does not just happen, or rather, the right type of society doesn't just happen by chance. It required then, as it requires now, effort. It required and requires lots of hard work. And this particular quality Denis Barry had in abundance, off as well as on the hurling pitch. At a time when the policies of an alien government, not attuned to Irish needs, was wreaking havoc on Irish culture and society, and emigration, itself an inevitable consequence of those policies, was tearing the heart out of many rural communities in particular, Denis Barry understood with his intellect that if you did not stand up to be counted for what you believed, you would be brushed aside, and showed by his actions that he was not prepared to let his country's fate be decided by any other agency than the Irish people themselves. This then was not simple activism for its own sake, as a means, for example, of killing time, or perhaps, as it is for so many of us, to cultivate friendships. On the contrary, it was work undertaken with a distinct purpose in mind. In fact, looking at the span of his life, two keynotes seem to me to consistently underpin all of his actions. Two threads, if you like, that stitched the fabric of his life together. The first was volunteerism, and the second was Irish republicanism. To begin with the former, he was not somebody who sought financial reward for his efforts in these fields. Rather, he consistently chose causes that called on him and others to give freely of his and their time and energy. It is absolutely no coincidence, therefore, to find that the two organisations that gave the greatest meaning to his life and with whom his name will forever be associated, were the GAA and the Irish Volunteers. Both had as a foundational principle that there is collective gain, there is social good, there is purity in good work done for its own sake, and not for personal pecuniary gain. And if ever a man bore testimony by his deeds and not just his words to that principle, it was Denis Barry. And this leads me to the second theme of his eventful life, that his actions consistently served the cause of Irish republicanism, understood in its broadest sense, not just the political project, but that was at its core, as the fullest expression of the doctrine articulated by Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address, that republicanism was that which was of the people, by the people, and for the people. Denis Barry's work for the Irish language, his involvement in the trade union movement, his passion for the GAA, his commitment to Na Fianna and the volunteers, all were predicated on the idea that these various movements sprang from the Irish people and in a variety of ways served them. It was a belief that drove him on in life, it was a belief that sustained him in his hunger strike, and it was a belief he took with him to the grave. And in going to that grave, he indeed rendered further service to the cause that had nourished and enriched his own time on earth. The life of Denis Barry is an illustration of a truth that was demonstrated time and again during the Irish independence struggle, that the powerful should beware the uncommon abilities of the common man and woman when deployed in the service of a noble cause. To make it clear, he was not a superman, and if he had been, his life would be of much less interest then or now to those of us who can be inspired to follow the lead of somebody whose abilities are way beyond those possessed by mere mortals such as ourselves. No, it was precisely because he was ordinary that there is a moral to his life story. It was precisely because he was sprung, as it were, from the earth of this locality. It was because he shared the same hard upbringing as most of his local contemporaries, and fairly denied the opportunities that a select few enjoy, and having the ethics of hard work and patriotism inculcated from birth. For all these reasons and more, Denis Barry was and is a representative Irishman, one who speaks to us still across a century of change. He was an individual who knew that it was only by acting through and being supported by the collective that he and all other individuals could achieve things unimaginable when attempted on their own behalf. That unity is indeed strength beyond measure. But how was such unity to be realised and maintained? The answer to me seems clear. Throughout his life, he championed duty to others over the assertion of personal rights. It was in his selfless emphasis upon duty that the beguiling paradox of the Republican ideal was to be found. That through duty it was both more practical and more worthy to seek and work for everything than it was to settle for something. As I'm coming to the end of my comments, I will, as promised, say a few words, but only a few, about the controversies that occurred following the demise of Denis Barry. The handling of his death by the authorities of the state was appalling, because as bad as it was, I, as a practicing Catholic, believe that the actions of Bishop Coughlin were worse, and for three reasons. Firstly, as contradictory and unsatisfactory as the justification provided by the government to explain its initial refusal to release Denis Barry's remains to his family undoubtedly was, at least some explanation was ultimately provided. In Bishop Coughlin's case, silence was the order of the day, and his family at the time were left, as we today are left, to ask, what exactly had he done that was so wrong that led his family and friends to be denied the succour of their religion at the time they needed it most? Secondly, the Free State government ultimately recognised it had erred in the line it had initially taken by burying his remains in a prison yard, changed their direction and allowed the body to be disinterred and handed over to his family. Bishop Coughlin, on the other hand, to the end of his days, never relented, and his body remains unchurched to the present day. Finally, and most importantly, the state that took the decisions regarding his remains was one that he did not recognise, and against which he had taken up arms. Bishop Covenant, in contrast, was the local head of the faith in which Denis Barry had been baptized, and of which he was a faithful, devout, and active member, as the bishop himself acknowledged. For the former to insult his passing, his sacrifice in the manner it did, was one thing, but for the latter to do so was immeasurably more hurtful. It was an action more of the Old Testament than the New Covenant. A decision born, one has to conclude, of vengeance and judgment, and lacking in love and mercy. Members of the modern hierarchy recently have acknowledged that mistakes were made by their predecessors during the Civil War, especially in weaponizing the sacraments. But one should recall the Vatican at the time also recognized such egregious errors for what they were, and made sure the first appointment to a vacant bishopric after the creation of the Free State was that of an anti-treaty cleric. It was an implicit rebuke to all the Irish bishops, and none more so than to Bishop Coughlin of Cork. But this negative judgment and this focus on the Free State government and Bishop Coughlin is not the correct place to finish this address. Rather will I close by citing the words of somebody who, arguably as much as any Irishman or woman who has ever lived, and certainly far more than I, is best placed to offer fitting final words on the life and values of Denis Barry. I refer, of course, to his fellow Corkomian, volunteer and hunger striker, Terence McSween. In the course of writing his series of articles on the principles of freedom that were published in the book of the same name, McSweeney discussed the characteristics possessed by the ideal soldier for freedom, and offered these words that could have almost been penned with Denis Barry in mind. The soldier of freedom knows he is forward in the battle of truth. He knows his victory will make for a world beautiful, that if he must inflict or suffer pain, it is for the regeneration of those who suffer, the emancipation of those in chains, the exaltation of those who die, and the security and happiness of generations yet unborn. Not all the armies of all the empires of earth can crush the spirit of one true man. And that man will prevail as Denis Barry prevailed.
On behalf of everyone here, thank Gabriel for that very insightful, very thought-provoking insight, I think, into the thoughts that generation, not just Denis Barry himself, but the entire generation, how they thought. And I think, well, if we are to take anything from it, is if we want to create to live in a good society, we have to work to create it. It won't just happen. And it was people like Denis Barry and his colleagues, they had a much tougher battle than we have now in our generation. But I think every generation has to stand up and face up to the fact that if you want to create a good society, you have to work at it. You have to give something to it. And Denis Barry gave his life to create the freedom that we have here today. And as I said earlier, we're very honoured to have so many of Denis Barry's family with us here. He has two nephews who are unable to be with us, but have often joined us in the past, Denis and John, and have often laid a wreath here. They're unable to be with us, but our thoughts are with them. We have many of his grandnephews and grandnieces, but we have two great grandnephew and a grandniece, and we would ask both of them to come forward, Amy and Finn, her great grandnephew and great grandniece, who will lay the wreath, and we will have the playing of the Fergal will tune up his instrument there and play a tune while we're doing the wreath laying. thank Amy and Finn for that, and indeed for the beautiful music as well. We move now on now, and we will have the last post and revelry. Thank you very much for that. Although the final items we have today is that we have some presentations that we would like to make. Um, After at 1:30, there's going to be a commemorative challenge match between Ballymartle and Blackrock. As you've heard earlier, as Denis Barry's close association with both Ballymartle GA and Blackrock, and we're delighted that Blackrock have come and join us for that. So we hope to make presentations to the captains of both teams here for their clubs in honour of the occasion that's there. So perhaps we might as well give the visitors the first roll of on the Blackrock captain might come and join us here. I know Peter Devine is here. We have the joint captains, I think, from the Rockies. So this is just a commemorative piece of glass to honour the fact that Blackrock came and joined us on this centenary event. Very good indeed. And we might call on John Lord there and the Ballymartle captain to come forward for their presentation as well. I think we've TJ Murphy's here with us.
Did you? Yeah, that's perfect.
We have one further presentation to give as well. As was mentioned earlier in the commemoration, the first monument that was built here was when the new road was put through here in 1966. I suppose it was an auspicious year. It was the 50th anniversary of the 1916 Rising. The new road, the new bridge was built, and it was named after Denis. So Penny Ford was the local councillor at the time, and it's great to see members of the Ford family here. Tim and Sean are with us today, and they've all been very involved in the commemoration in the past. And as was said, I suppose that monument was very close to the edge of the river there, and it was beginning to slip a little bit. So we put a new one here in the 90s. But we wouldn't really be celebrating Diddy Barry here today if that monument wasn't put there in 1966. And the driving force behind that was Modest O'Donoghue from the exact same townland from Cullen, the same as the Barrys, next door neighbours of the Barrys, great friends of the family as well. And we have representatives, thankfully, of Morris's family here. And as I say, we wouldn't be here today if Modest O'Donoghue hadn't put that big effort in back in 1966 to make sure that Denis Barry was remembered here in Riverstick. So I'll call on a member of the family, Patrick, who lives in the same house that Morris lived in the home place. And he's got Modest's medal with him here. And I want him to come forward and accept this glass, which is to the family of Modest and O'Donoghue, Cullen Riverstick, in recognition of Modest's work to ensure that Commandant Denis Barry, the patriot sportsman, was recognised and remembered in his home village of Riverstick. And as JJ tells me there, we have some books here that were written by Pat Hurley, a booklet on Denis Barry, which was probably the first time that there was anything but in writing in a book, and obviously that was followed on then by his nephew Denis doing the Forgotten Patriot. But we have those books here. We have a bucket as well if anyone wants to throw a few bob into the bucket. But the book is free, but we'll be watching there if no one throws anything into it. You can make a voluntary contribution. But so look, we're coming to the end of this year's commemoration, and I have a few thank yous to make. So if you just bear with me, particularly to my colleagues on the committee, to JJ and the Kinsale Cultural and Historical Society, who worked on putting this information board together here and making sure the commemoration is here. So a big bull of us for JJ and his committee and the Cultural Committee. And on the committee, we have obviously Kevin O'Donovan, who's always worked with us, Trish Madden, who can't be with us today, but she organised things up in the hall for us. We have very lucky to have two local historians, young historians, Fergal Brown, who can't be with us today, but Sharon here as well. And it's great to have a younger generation that are interested in history. And of course, Dan Lorden from Ballymartle and Peter Devine from the Black Rock. So as a committee, I think we worked well to make sure this today came about. I would especially thank Barry Cogan for providing the sound for us today. I think he's been doing that. He was here in 1966 when the first monument was open. I'd say he's probably the only person here that was back there. And I don't think he's missed one since. Will I be right, Barry? Is it? Yeah. So fair play to him. He's been a stalwart and great support when we were doing the new monument here as well. And the Donegal Barra Corla and Carrickline were very supportive when this monument was put up. I want to thank Margaret Ring, who supplied sandwiches here and has always been involved in the committee from Five By. I want to take the opportunity to send best wishes to Breda O'Mahony, who's not well at the moment. She has been always involved in this committee, so I think we will all send our best wishes to Breda at the moment and pass it on to our family. And to thank Fergal for the music here today, our trumpeter as well. And I suppose the home that Denis Barry lived in is now only in the last few years has changed hands. The Barrys have been there up to very recently, but Stephen McCarthy lives there now, and he has sponsored the special commemorative jerseys that Ballymartle will be wearing at today's game. So I'd like to thank Stephen for that. And I want to thank all of you for coming here and making this a special occasion. And really, again, particularly thank all the members of the Barry family who joined us. And I hope you pass on our good wishes to all the rest of the family who is here today. We're blessed with the sunshine. There's a match in the pitch at 1:30, so people can drift up there. There's teas, sandwiches in the community centre afterwards, and there'll be drinks and islands after that as well. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and we will finish up with a Tracton Man singing the national anthem. I suppose we're trying to be inclusive. So Dan Toomey is going to, we're delighted to thank Dan for coming, thanks for coming, and he's going to sing for us the national anthem. Dan, you're there, please.
Shena fina fola tofwe jaulegerin windarsu hartin daroni huing fue voi veser Shantira shincher fosta Niogfer Fentira non fentrol Anactehem savanebel Leganer cambosh nusel Leganash grek Velok nabiler Shaliv kanik aron navi
Thank you very much. There was just one thing that I wanted to mention when the hurlers with us here. Mary Tobin, who raised the flag for us during the referee, her father, Jimmy, hurled with Blackrock. I suppose in his generation, he followed on for Denis Barry and he was from this parish, really, played with the Rockies. The original Ballymartle played with a sash on their jersey, but when Ballymartle reformed in 1936, Jimmy brought a few jerseys from Blackrock. So I think if there was a kit man in the Rockies in the 30s that have found there was a set of jerseys missing, and this is the reason why Ballymartle now play with the same hoops as Blackrock have, because in 1936 when Jimmy Tobin and the Coilies here, when they set up the club, reset the club, they had a set of old Rockies jerseys that they played with, and that's why we still wear the proud hoops that we have at the moment. That's just a little historical footnote. Thank you very much.